time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. And what an intense conversation that we just had with Ronald Richards. Wow. He really broke it down for us. And guys, if you missed it, go back and check out my last video. We discussed how Erica Girardi was dropped by her legal team for quote unquote lack of trust. He let us know exactly what his posts mean and his position in the case now that he's officially been brought on. He also let us know what's going on with Jen Shah and how her case may or may not even compare to Teresa Giudice's. This was so much to break down, but he did such a great job in doing so. I seriously applaud him for everything that he's doing, and I can't wait to have him back again. Now, today, we're here to talk about the Real Housewives of New York. If you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button, show some love. Let's get some more people in the room, and let's start breaking this down. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link. If anybody wants to call in and join the conversation, I seriously encourage you to. This was an interesting one. So we pick up where we left off with Leah McSweeney, and she was kind of going on her I don't know what it was. She was just pissed off. Leah McSweeney obviously knew something was going on with her grandmother. She knew that she was losing her grandmother very quickly, and I think it was sparking a lot of emotions for her because, as we saw, she was very quick to pop off, especially when it came to Heather Thompson. Now, Heather Thompson was talking about Leah's political beliefs, but she didn't actually say what Ebony K. Williams told Leah verbatim. I think that's exactly what sparked Leah, and it made her do this, what we've been waiting for, assault on Heather Thompson in the bus. She threw the roses at Heather Thompson, was pretty much like, don't F with me, I'm not in the mood. And it wasn't as big of a deal as we were getting as far as a buildup, but I see what Heather was talking about, I guess. Now, they were able to get Leah McSweeney back onto the bus, and they got her to this pageant. The pageant was quirky. It was a Halloween pageant. It seemed a little bit lackluster, but we have to remember it was because there are COVID restrictions. Normally, they would have these big over-the-top parties, whether they're in the Upper East Side, downtown Manhattan, or even, I guess, the Hamptons. But this wasn't the case. The only people who were there were Luann's daughter and her niece, and then the women, and then the person who was emceeing it. Well, I guess with a couple servers or whatnot, but I don't know. I wasn't entirely into this episode. We know the last two episodes, though, were extremely difficult to watch. There were a lot of tough conversations to be had. And everyone's been seriously applauding Sonja Morgan for her work. She's been the one who has been the most open to receiving the information that Ebony K. Williams has been sharing with the women. However, this episode, did she overdo it at the election party? I don't want to just give you guys my opinion. I have a very special guest, always a very special guest in here in the room, Kim Pyre, who, by the way, Jason and I will be joining him on his podcast today, right after this, around 1-ish, I believe the email said. So we'll have to figure out exactly what time that is. If you haven't, go ahead, smash that like button, and let's welcome Kim Pyre.
One-ish is not my words.
Was it Jason's words?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was like, who said 1-ish? And then I kept asking Jason, and he's like, 1 o'clock. And I said, it said 1-ish. Is it 1 o'clock? Is it 1:15? I need to know what I'm working with here. He said 1-ish. It's like, okay, that doesn't work for me.
Well, the podcast will be available next week, and I can't wait for the conversation.
I can't wait for it either. But in the meantime, I guess let's sort of break down what the hell was going on in this episode. If you had to rate this episode, and I'm giving it a little bit of slack here only because the last two episodes were difficult to watch. So we can't just have, it's almost like watching Jen Shah in every episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City popping off. It became like too much at one point. Yeah. We need, I guess, a little bit of cotton candy in the Real Housewives world too. And that's what this episode delivered. Aside from the seriousness of the election, what would you rate it?
I think it was a solid episode, but just kind of thinking back on it, I'm like, it really wasn't that great. And for a lot of people that haven't been enjoying this season so far, it's not a good start. You know what I mean? They should be picking up and not kind of slowing down.
Right.
So I would probably rate it, and this is one of my favorite cities, a 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I feel like we had so much build up to this situation going on here, but it seemed like Leah just sort of overreacted to Heather Thompson's comments. Now, I don't want to minimalize what she was feeling. We obviously know that she lost her grandmother in this episode. By the way, I love your avatar. We obviously know that she lost her grandmother in this episode.
Sorry.
Do you think her reaction was warranted now that we know what was going on and the severity of it?
You know how I feel about Leah.
I know.
But I had to give her grace this episode. She wasn't as annoying this episode, and I do feel bad for her. But I don't think because she was losing her grandma, that's part of why Leah was behaving the way that she was. I feel like this is just who Leah is. And honestly, seeing her sister, I'm like, why don't we have her sister, Sarah?
I love Sarah.
An actual housewife?
Yeah, I think so. I've actually had Sarah on my channel before. I did an interview with her, and she's so unfiltered. I mean, they both are, but Sarah seems sometimes to be a little bit more level-headed. But I'm sure she has the ability to pop off as well, and she will call, as we saw in the B-roll that was played, or last season's episodes. We see that Sarah is quick to call out the housewives too, especially when they were ignoring her in that one episode.
I feel like Sarah would be such a better housewife, and she's actually a housewife.
Casting.
I mean, look, just that little bit that we got of Sarah during the election party, I was like, oh, even her making fun of her funeral outfit, saying this is a little too slutty. I was like, we need her, not Leah. Sort of like how we have Kyle and now we have Kathy when we should have had Kathy the entire time.
Oof. Okay. Okay. Well, when we're talking about Leah and Sarah, this episode I think was very hard for them, and I'm sure it was extremely hard to watch back. But everyone is giving Leah sort of a pass for her reaction with Heather because, again, she lost her grandmother this episode. It was extremely sad. It was heartbreaking. Do you think it's because of the grandma situation, or do you think it has a lot to do with the fact that she's sort of newly sober?
Oh, I mean, I think we were coming up with a lot of excuses for Leah's bad behavior, and I think it's just Leah. I don't think it's her being newly sober, and I don't think it's because of her grandmother. Maybe all of that played a little bit of a part, but I don't think so. I think she would look for any excuse to blame it on her behavior, and that's what she's done so far this season. But to be honest with you, I don't take that into account for Leah. I've seen this in Leah from last season, and that's why I'm sort of like, I see right through her. And this is not, your grandmother's not an excuse, and I'm sorry that you lost your grandmother, but that's not the excuse.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to be fair to Leah this episode, but
Okay. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. That way we can get more eyes in the room. I do want to bring up this next scene that we had on the Real Housewives of New York this past episode, the pageant. This pageant, it was hard to watch. I'm not going to lie. Like the women and their talents, the talent, the Ramona revisiting her magazine shoot where she's like curling the dumbbells or whatever they're called, and then Leah messing up with the hula hoop. And what was Heather Thompson's? Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
She was a cheerleader.
What the hell were we watching?
Women with no talent.
Oh no.
Including Ebony. Look, I'm a straight shooter. Pow pow. Ebony, that was what was that? Your spoken word. It didn't even sound like spoken word. It sounded like you were just dictating to us. Sorry.
And I was surprised to see Ramona come up in the confessional, and she's like, "Can we not just not preach for a second?" I was like, "Oh." Well,
we expect that of Ramona. That was probably one of the most honest that we've gotten so far since they've been in the Hamptons. But Luann allowing Leah to be the winner because she's going through a tough time. So is Ebony. So
right.
I was impressed with any of their talents. Probably the most impressive was probably Ramona. Ramona probably was the most, or Luann, but Luann was hosting it, so of course she shouldn't win because by her standards. And Ramona showed us some real skill.
Okay, with her 40 push-ups.
Yeah.
First of all, those were not real. Well, technically, I have to give it to her because it's not like she was doing. like when you go to the gym or if you go to a workout class and they're like, well, if you want to do a lesser push-up, you can put your knees on the ground and you can kind of push off of the ground. She never put her knees on the ground. She did a full plank sort of half push-up thing.
And she's her arms something years old.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll give it to her. Is that's what you're saying?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And I don't look. I understand Ramona is hard to give any sort of credit to, but if we had to base it on the talent, even poor Sonja, I wanted to give it to Sonja, but her miming was terrible.
Okay. Well, coming back to, Manhattan, we see the women, they're all getting ready for the election, and Ramona has disappeared. She feels like she didn't know what exactly was going to go on in New York after the election. And I just want to ask your opinion because you were in New York. I was in Los Angeles for a large part of what was going on, and it was getting intense. You could cut the pressure with the knife or whatever they say. But for New York, was it a scary time when everybody was waiting to figure out exactly who was going to be elected? And was there the chance that riots would break out if it would have went the other way?
I mean, not to defend Ramona, I can see partially why she would be scared. They were boarding up windows. They were prepared for rioting and things like that. So I can see where she might be a little afraid. The dramatics of running to, where did she go again? She went to the Hamptons. Was she in the Hamptons or somewhere else? I forgot where she went.
I don't know. Maybe Connecticut.
Long Island. No, she wasn't in the Hamptons. She wasn't.
Oh, okay, the Hamptons.
I mean, look, a lot of people went to the Hamptons and left New York during this pandemic. So I'm surprised she wasn't there indefinitely.
No, she was in Florida.
Oh, I forgot about for a few months.
She was in Palm Beach.
Oh, perfect. But I get, so, because I was here and I did see the hysteria that was surrounded around the election on both sides, no matter what party you were, people were just unsure what the election was going to bring. And people were really concerned that there would be rioting. So I can see that. But like Leah said, you live in a high-rise apartment with a doorman. I think you're okay.
I like how she goes too, and so do I. Okay, we see you collecting your checks, Leah.
For now.
Okay. Shady boots. Well, Leah and Ebony decided to band together and introduce Sonja to Leah's trainer. Let her get a few boxing lessons in, and they feel like Sonja is really just shot down by the rest of the women. They feel like she should have so much more, I guess, what is the word I'm looking for? Strength
and strength.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that she doesn't necessarily have.
Yeah, they feel like she should have so much more strength, and she shouldn't let these women run all over her, especially Ramona and Luann. And unfortunately, they do all the time. And we even saw when the playback, when she's like, Luann's looking at her and she's like, I'm sorry, get that out of your little brain. And Ebony goes, little brain?
And mind you, I think we're all desensitized to it because I didn't even pick up on it until they pointed it out. I was like, oh yeah, they did. They do come down hard on Sonja, and rightfully so sometimes, especially amongst that, tribe of very big personalities. And I like the fact that people are trying to uplift Sonja, but we've seen people try to help and uplift Sonja over the years, and they have burned. They've been burned by trying to help her, including Heather. I remember when Heather was trying to help her. And I really felt like Heather was. Say again.
What was Heather trying to help her do?
Remember with the toaster oven and everything else?
Oh gosh, I can't with the toaster oven. Wait,
Heather really was trying to help her.
I do want to speak on the fact too that Heather, the next morning after Leah left and they all found out what was going on, poor Ramona, she doesn't know how to send a text because she was about to jump the gun, so to speak, and send a text that was like, I'm sorry, your grandma's gone. And Luann's like, okay, maybe let's just take it in for a second and figure out what we're going to say and not be so quick to send a message. Then they all sit there and they start eating, breakfast or whatever. And Heather, she took back her comment and said, listen, I think that I just wanted to kind of fix what I said. I didn't mean it the way that it came out. I meant to say that you speak so eloquently. And Ebony gave her a pass. She's like, I know where you were coming from. However, this is what that means to me.
Mm-hmm.
Heather tried.
I think the fact that she was able to correct that immediately, as opposed to, it aired and then she's posting an apology on social media, I can respect that. I'm not sure if she really checked it herself or someone else
I was
said
going
something
to
to
say,
her?
do you think production said something to her and they're like, you need to fix this now?
I thought that, but then we already know how production is. They're not really trying to help anyone, especially Heather, who's not a housewife,
Right.
according to her on social media. That's what she said.
Okay. So I have.
Oh, that's
Hi.
a beautiful cat. I saw a
She's,
picture on social media. I was like, oh my God, those eyes.
she is also a fellow New Yorker, and she is from Brooklyn.
Oh, excuse me.
Hey, right? Say, I've lived in Brooklyn and Los Angeles and South Florida. I know she hates us. Cats don't like to move around, so she's like, "What the hell is going on?" Oh God,
she's a mood. Oh, she came back home. She's like, I need my TV time.
Yeah, she needs her TV time. Okay. So again, guys, make sure you smash that like button. But I do think that it was good, like Kempire said, that Heather was able to correct that before it aired, because there are so many housewives who make mistakes, like Ramona saying, wow, look at all these servants here just for us. And then it takes the episode to air and to receive all the backlash before it's actually properly addressed. Yeah, that's sort of a problem, because then the fans are like, we're not buying it. We think that you're just trying to do damage control. And I don't know if it was production or if Heather just really thought about the comment after she walked out, because Heather really was trying to say all the right things. And even though she over tried, I think that her intentions were good. Now, did she miss the mark a few times? Absolutely. But I think she had good intentions.
I think Heather could have pulled back a little bit, with her trying during these last couple of episodes. But like I said, I was actually impressed that she was able to correct herself the next day. And who knows? I don't know if I doubt it was Leah who told her, and I highly doubt it was production. I think production likes the fact that she might have looked problematic.
Right. Okay. Well, I am kind of curious at this point, after Heather and Leah were able to sort of repair the situation, they moved on, they had a good night, they were standing next to each other, holding hands on the stage. They kind of like fixed their wrongs. It looked like, things were okay. So at what point after this did Heather decide, do you think she just went home and digested everything that happened and was like, this is not a good fit for me? Like if this is what one little half of a weekend for her looks like in the Hamptons, what is the rest of the season going to look like?
I wonder if something happened outside, once everything was done, because we know a lot of things were said back and forth on social media, but who knows? Maybe when she went home, she thought about it a little bit more. And you know how sometimes you think about something that you should have said or should have done, and you're just like, oh, that, you know what I mean? So maybe that's what happened. I didn't expect them to make up and to have this sort of peaceful moment, because it's like, why wouldn't you come back then from what we can see?
Well, and when we were watching the preview, Bravo does so good with the editing. When we were watching the preview, it made it look as if Leah was not actually attending this beauty pageant. And I was shocked when I saw her there. I was like, wait a minute. I thought she left. So they got me with the editing once again. But in your opinion, were you shocked or no?
I was shocked that she got over it so quickly, which again goes back to Leah is just here for the cameras. Your poor grandmother is on her deathbed, and you're saying that it's affecting you so badly. And I've seen so many people comment, then go be by your grandmother's side. Right. And I'm not shaming her for not doing it, because she said she made peace with her. She's had the conversations that she needs to have. But you're making this whole weekend about you suffering because of your grandmother passing away. But you're here when you could be there.
Right.
And I thought that's exactly what she was going to do. But no, she's like, no, I need more camera time.
Okay. Well, now again, getting back to, I thought it was actually kind of comical that Ramona was like, I feel like you're about to preach. And she's like, I'm not about to preach. And Sonja's like, let her talk. Like, gosh, these women. Getting back to the actual boxing in the ring, kind of getting Sonja's aggression out, I thought it was great. The guy really has the ability to kind of get you pissed off. He's like, pretend that I'm the one calling you the S word. And I said this, and all of a sudden, Sonja goes from, like she was going in, and I was like, wow, there you go, Sonja, get that aggression out. But I think they created a monster. I think they created a monster, and I think Leah said that at the election party, because as we saw, all of a sudden, Sonja went on this tangent at the election party, and to the point that Ebony's friend even got up and walked away because it was uncomfortable. She went on this tangent, and she was like, of course, she was getting a little litty. Right? She was drinking a little bit. But she was like, Ramona's my girl. But at the end of the day, I think she's a master of manipulation. And they're like, why do you think that? And Ebony was like, wait a minute, I feel gullible. They're like, no, don't feel gullible. But I think that she posted you as sort of a way to make herself look better. And Ebony was not here for that. But I'm curious, in your mind, do you think that those were Ramona's intentions?
As soon as we saw the pictures before the season started, a lot of people were saying that. Look at Ramona trying to make it seem as if she's not, you know what. I definitely think it was some sort of manipulation. I think Leah said that. Oh, I've never even been posted on her social media. I mean, even if I was on a show with Leah, I wouldn't post on my social media anyway.
Gosh, you really have this thing out for Leah.
I'm going to start a change.org petition for her not to return next season.
No, you're trying to get her job?
I'm joking. I'm not joking.
Pick a side. Where are you? You can't be Switzerland.
I've been very clear on how I feel about Leah.
Yes, you have. Actually, you have. Amy C, I just want to say, Amy AC, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, I've seen you before. Hi, Amy.
I love that,
right? You have been very clear. When it comes to the election party, though, Sonja came in, and I don't know, honestly, I'm not the fashion police. I wear all black all the time. I have no fashion sense. If I'm not wearing all black, I'm wearing my own merch. And Jason's always like, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you want people to come up to you and say, oh, you're Adam? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, did you see me somewhere? And they're like, no, your shirt says Adam. Jason always gives me so much crap for this.
Come on, Jason. You have to wear your own merch. You're self-promotion. Now people don't want to have one. I wish I had my own Kempire shirt.
Hey, we'll get you situated. I'm going to have to change this desk really quick so she can stop jumping on my lap.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, we're fancy around here. But, you know, when it came to this election party, everybody seemed like they were there for the right reason. Again, I don't know what the hell Leah was wearing with this tutu thing. But Sonja came in. Oh, and also Leah's dog's behavior was like, it was kind of gross. You know, I have 2 dogs and they are the most well-behaved. They're not going to sit next to you when you're eating. They know not to beg. They're definitely not jumping on the damn table. That would never happen. I'm sitting here watching and I'm like, you're letting this woman bought hors d'oeuvres, bought filet. She has lobster and you're letting your dog come on and eat everybody's food. Like, people, you might be comfortable with that, but other people are not. And it is not appropriate. Where was the Countess and her code of ethics when it came to this? Because it was.
Leah has no class and so does her dog.
Oh. Okay, I have to stop bringing up Leah. You're not going to hold back. Kempire is ruthless, and he is. I don't know if you're a bag of emotions or opinions. I don't know what you are, but you have something out for this woman. So, Leah, just watch your back.
No, look, don't say that, because then there'll be a whole nother Michael Shea situation.
Oh no, not that. Okay. Well, at the election party, again, they start talking about this and Sonja brings it up. I was kind of shocked to see that Bershan Shaw, which I'm so excited to see her come on. I know so many people who actually have, oh my gosh. I know so many people who actually have these close relationships with Bershan. And actually, I didn't know how to properly pronounce her name. So I believe it was Marcella who reached out to me at some point, or it was Cookie. It was someone who reached out to me in my DMs and said, Adam, you're pronouncing her name wrong. And I sent Bershan a full DM apology. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
What were you saying?
I thought it was Bergen. I
actually prefer that. I call her Bersha, a combination of both her names.
Yeah, see, and I don't want to call anybody out of their name. I want to be appropriate. She misses Jason is the thing. She never likes me. She loves Jason. So I had to apologize for that. But, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not Bershan was actually friends with Ramona when she came onto the show, because we saw Leah had the opportunity to introduce Ebony into the group and we saw them meet up in Central Park and they had this whole conversation. But we know that Leah and Ebony were not friends before filming. So they just chose Leah to bring her into the group. Which, okay, that makes sense. But do you think Ramona and Bershan Shaw actually had?
Adam, did you really believe that Ramona is friends with I was about to call her Bersha again. Brashaw. I'm gonna start it. It's a thing, Brashaw. It's cool to have a
Bershawn,
nickname.
I am not saying that.
It's a nickname. I've been saying it. I've been saying Brashaw. No. Wait, so you really believe that they're friends? Maybe they were. Maybe passing friends.
Maybe they were passing friends. Maybe they went to the same events. I mean, I think Ramona has a lot of acquaintances. I think she's made that very clear. But if you ask Dolores from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, she says that woman has no friends and she can't remember anybody's name. We've
seen all of Ramona's friends. We've had parties with Ramona's friends. We've counted each one of them, and they all look like Ramona. We have never seen Bershaw.
Bershawn.
No disrespect to Bershawn.
Bidar. Thank you so much for the super chat. And if I am also pronouncing your name wrong, then please just correct me. Also, love your kitty, the only kind we could have. We are animal dander allergic in our whole family, sadly. Oh, yes.
Isn't it hard? Can we look sidebar since we were talking about the pets? Can we talk about because I always heard because if they have no hair, it's a little bit harder to take care of them.
So you have to bathe them like a human and they act like dogs. It's so weird. My cat has picked up on my dog's barking. So now instead of going, meow, she goes, oh. And then when Jason's done taking a shower or whatever, he'll rinse out the bathtub and then he'll refill it. And he has toys that he puts in the bathtub and she swims around, pushes around the toys. She will sit in there. You could leave her in there for an hour and she looks like a person who's just in a steam shower, just this is exactly what I need. But unfortunately for the cats that have fur, they have the fur absorbs their sweat and, things like that. Whereas cats that don't have fur, she tans, she sits by the window, all of a sudden they come home, she's a different color. She's just an interesting little animal, but it's okay. We'll keep you around, Vesper.
She's like, stop talking about me.
Yeah, she's right here. But, I do want to get back to the Sonja popping off about the whole Ramona thing. It made everybody extremely uncomfortable, and it was obviously alcohol-induced. Did she take it too far?
I mean, it's Sonja. And based on what we see it's going to happen later in the season, that's too far. I think she was actually good in comparison to what we've seen in past seasons, her almost bumping her head on a table, running naked through into a pool. I think she was tame, but like Ebony said, she can't have a lot of alcohol. She has to have
a glass of Pinot Grigio and we're done.
If that.
We're done. I've talked to so many people listen, a 2-drink limit is not bad for a lot of people. I'm one of them. I can have 2 drinks. And then after that, I'm hey, and I want to be friends with everybody. I want to go dance on tables. I'm not the person to talk about. That is why I try to just keep my 2-drink minimum or maximum, and I'm good. Okay, so Sonja popping off. All right, so maybe it was warranted. She has certain feelings towards Ramona, and she feels like at this point Ramona's being fake. But do you think, because Heather Thompson got a lot of shit for trying to oversell herself to Ebony, do you think that Sonja at this point, because we were all here for Sonja, we're she's don't just turn the page. You need to read the page. Understand. Stop trying to put yourself in other people's shoes. Ramona was here for the LGBTQ community. She doesn't care. And now she's riding this wave. Whatever's current, she's riding the wave. Do you think that Sonja was trying too hard to be in with the rest of the women in this setting?
Well, Sonja always tries too hard. So it just rang.
Yeah, but people were applauding her up until now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just felt like Sonja. Sonja just acts this way all the time, so we just accept it. It seemed over the top, of course, partially because she probably was drinking a little too much. But with that being said, I didn't read too much into it. I was like, oh, there goes Sonja. There goes our Sonja.
Well, Luann said that this was triggering for her, and she said that she felt extremely uncomfortable and she had to get up and walk away. Do you think it was actually triggering for her, or do you think that she wanted a moment?
Luann had a hot date.
A hot date on election night?
Excuse you, she's a single woman in New York.
No, she's not. She has Garth.
Thank you for the reminder. She went to go see Garth.
No, Garth is in the Hamptons doing his physical training stuff.
And she went to meet up with him.
How far is the Hamptons from the city?
Probably a good hour and a half, maybe.
Okay.
Depending on traffic. But it's a pandemic too, so probably a little bit less.
Luann got a town car.
Or maybe he was at her apartment. We don't know.
That's true. We don't know. Luann had a hot date and she used it as an out. Maybe.
Or she had a hot date with someone else. Luann allegedly likes to get around.
No, don't say that about my girl Lou.
I love Lou too. She's a Taurus like me, but she likes the men.
Well, Luann, just to be fair, she gets a lot of shit from everybody too. Because I was watching some previous seasons where Bethany and Carol, they were going at it, and Bethany and Carol were having their own conversation at Dorinda's house in the Berkshires. And all of a sudden, Carol goes, "Well, after that, you told me that Luann's stupid." And Luann's like, "You called me stupid?" And they've called her stupid, trash, low class. They've called her that S word. They've kind of, I think that's why she feels like it's okay to do it to Sonja, because she's taken all of these bullets herself. Honestly, Ramona has, Sonja. I feel like they've almost, is it called desensitizing it? Like they've made it okay to be this sort of aggressive towards each other. And that's exactly what they're being. It's not, first of all, it's not cute to watch a bunch of older women call each other out of their name and treat each other like that. It's really not. If you're going to honestly, at this point, maybe take some of the other housewives point of view and take them in the back alley of the Christmas party. I don't know what to say about this, but you don't have to call them every name in the book every single episode. It gets to be a lot.
I mean,
you're like, no, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. No, I mean, it is what it is. If they stop doing that now, we would be like, what's wrong with them? They're not being themselves. And as someone just said in the comments, mention it all.
Mention it all. Oh, that was one of my favorite scenes. Okay, 2 more questions before we go. Ramona not showing up to the election party. Again, it could have been because she was nervous about what exactly was going to happen. Like you said, the hysteria of the city after the election results were announced. But then she did say, I will come back tomorrow for your party in Harlem to Ebony. She's like, I think I'll be back. Do you think that Ramona really, just because we know who Ramona voted for, and I don't want to get into politics like too much.
We do not.
Huh?
We don't know who she voted for.
Okay, we know who she voted for last time because she made it very clear on the reunion floor that she voted for Trump. She said that, right? On the reunion floor when he was going against Hillary Clinton. So I think people were assuming, you're right, we do not know who she voted for. Unless she tells us, we don't know. So thank you.
Or if she voted. And I think people were assuming that maybe she was sticking to who she voted with the first time.
I'm wondering, do you think she wanted to not be there so she didn't have to listen to all of the potential Trump bashing from the rest of the women if she didn't agree with it? She just didn't want to hear about it.
I think she didn't want any conversation. You see how she reacts when Ebony brings up, even if Ebony's just doing a spoken word, she reacts that way. So she didn't want to be uncomfortable. She thought it was going to be like a Carol election party, and it really wasn't. They barely talked about the election, honestly. And I kind of wish they talked a little bit more about all of their feelings on it, but they didn't. So I think she would have been fine if she went, but I think she thought it was going to be another uncomfortable situation like in the Hamptons, or like her conversations with Carol in past seasons. So she thought it'd be like that, but Ebony doesn't work that way. I think she just made it a watch party and they didn't get into their, specific political views. And maybe they did and it was cut out.
Well, to be fair too, Ramona had a lot of, she has kept her mouth shut a lot when Ebony speaks out on, how she's had to, grow up in the different situations she's had to face and the different hardships as opposed to being a white woman. And Ramona has been very quiet, and, they've even applauded her because Sonja even said Ramona's happy because she's not the one in the line of fire. But at this point, it's almost like she is now sort of what we're about to see in the next episode, showing those true colors of maybe she's not on the same page, and she's finally had enough of Ebony talking about her experiences, like maybe, and that's why she's reacting like, I have to walk away, I can't do this. And Ebony looks at her like, excuse me?
Look, Ramona is going to be Ramona. We all have been watching, and she knows this. She knows that everyone's watching and is waiting for Ramona to say the wrong thing. And it hasn't been her yet, really. Yes, she's had some moments. But I think people have been just with their hands like this. Ooh, she's going to say something. And I don't think she will. I think she's been very conscious this season, which is not the Ramona that we truly enjoy.
Right.
So self-conscious, I should say. But look, I'm looking forward to how she interacts with Bershaw because
Bershawn.
Okay. Bershawn, she knows I love her. And I'm looking forward to seeing her on the show too, because I want to see what she brings. I love her husky voice. I love that she knows reality TV. I love that she's so positive, but I want to see her interaction with the other ladies. I think Ebony's been very good at interacting with this wild bunch of women from New York. Right. I want to see how Bershawn handles that.
Okay. And that was my last question is, are you thinking that she's going to be a good fit, Bershawn?
I think Bershawn's not going to give us the drama that people want from a reality star, but I'm here for it if she has a great personality. Look, Ebony doesn't bring a lot of drama, but she has a great personality. And I hope she doesn't feel the weight of the world because she is one of the only 2 Black women on this show. But I'm excited to see what she brings. I want to like her, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I'm going to, just because I've seen some things with Bershawn, off of the show. So I'm just sort of like, and not bad things, just like, what is she going to bring? So I have an open mind when it comes to Bershaw.
Bershawn. Okay, you're doing
tomato, I say tomato.
All right. Well, with that, I'm looking forward to next week's episode and what exactly that holds. In the meantime, I guess we'll have to continue watching. I can't wait to meet Bershawn. I think it's going to be interesting to see how she meshes with these women, especially because this is a very eccentric group of women. And I'm curious to see how she gets on with Ebony as well, because they're both newbies. So this is kind of their chance to navigate this together as being, I know Bershawn's not a new housewife, but being new to the housewife world. So we'll have to wait and see. We can't just sit here and guess.
I want to see how she interacts with Leah. I know Ebony sort of feels a kinship with Leah. In the real world, I don't see that friendship working. Maybe because they're both Virgos, and I found that out, and I was judging both of them. But I want to see how she interacts with Leah, especially if she's coming on as Ramona's friend.
Right. Okay. Well, with that, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. We have to go get ready to do the podcast with Kempire. So that's going to be exciting. Like Kempire said, that comes out next week. It's not only going to be myself, but Jason will be joining us as well. So make sure you hit that like button and hold on, wait for it. I'm going to give us 5 seconds of silence, and then we're going to get the monologue.
Why is it not monologue? Wait, no. Oh, he's counting. No, I do want to say that the original interview that you and I did, that was on for the podcast, the video version will be out tomorrow as a throwback Thursday, because we never released the video version. I am sure people would like to see your face and the conversation.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So that you'll get 2 doses of Up and Adam this week and next week on all the platforms.
All right. And I will definitely be sharing that. And also I saw you on with Emily D. Baker, and Jason was like, oh my gosh, they know each other. And I was like, I just love that. I love when
we don't.
Yeah. Well, but I love the fact that, through all of us kind of working with each other, being on each other's platforms, we're able to connect and make new friends and make new collaborations and have these conversations, because like I was telling Jason, we all have different points of views and we all have a different way of communicating. So even yesterday when you were on with Emily D. Baker, I was like glued to it. Like, yes. Yeah. You're like, welcome what did you say? Welcome my Taurus sister.
Yes.
Yes. See, we're watching you, Kempire. All right, Kempire, hit us with the monologue before we go.
Okay, guys, you can check me out on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, where you get daily and consistent hot topics in music, entertainment, reality TV, and more. And of course, subscribe to the podcast, where Up and Adam and Jason will be next week. In honor of Pride Month, we have a lot of stuff to dig into, and that's, of course, Kempire Radio.
All right. And with that, Amy said, love you, Kempire. Amy, we love you. Vesper says, bye. Bye, Vesper. Next, when we're doing the podcast, you're out of the room. Love you. All right, Kempire, we'll see you super soon. Bye. And guys, I will be dropping 2 other videos today. They will be pre-records. We're going to be talking about Real Housewives of Orange County and also Real Housewives of New Jersey. So make sure you check it out, and also go give Kempire a follow. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We always have new content. So we'll see you then. Bye, guys.